They got into this really quickly. So used to the delays. All right, everyone. We got ourselves another PvP. It is the finals this time. In the top right of Tokamak. Oh, it almost got me again. I almost said Tomahawk. That's what happened last time. We do have MaxPax. In the bottom left, it is herO. They played once already today. herO did get a little bopped, if I'm being honest. A little bit. This is now the finals, which means that because MaxPax bopped herO earlier, MaxPax gets the advantage. If he wins his best of 3, he wins. If he loses, he gets the second best of 3 to play. Many of you are now familiar with this. I don't know if I have a lot of faith in herO today. I generally have faith in herO. Well, kind of. You know, if you're a herO fan, you know the herO experience. You want him to win, but your brain tells you there's a good chance there might be a throw in there. But anyway, I mean, as far as playing against the same guy who defeated you pretty soundly just 30 minutes ago, like, I don't have a lot of belief in that person winning. But it is PvP. There are a lot of different ways that herO could play outside of those 2 games. They recently did. And he's already doing that. He's already changed things up once again. He's gone for a 2 gateway opener. So it's not like without chance. Just, I think it's gonna be very difficult for herO. MaxPax is a very stalwart defensive Protoss, but I was trying to think of something even better than that. MaxPax does what he does very well, and it's not gimmicky, so there's not many flaws in it. I can still sit on the floor cross-legged. That's the first check. Now try and stay on the floor cross-legged for, let's say, 10 minutes. And then try and get up, because, oof, boy. It's going to be a proxy Stargate from herO. MaxPax knows that a pylon is missing. So he knows there's a proxy somewhere, but he has yet to find it. MaxPax Zealot does go to the most obvious proxy Stargate location, I would say. Right here, so it goes immediately to the main. Sometimes there's a chance it goes to the natural, actually. Or, you know, through the natural into the main. In this case, a little bit later of an Oracle is worth the fact that it was not scouted, so it is a little bit farther away. But that means that what's not scouted. In the grand scheme of things, if MaxPax could see the intention of a Nexus, he might deduce that it is an Oracle. He didn't really see the intention, though, and he didn't see anything else that really points to a Stargate, because he saw all Stalkers, too. Adepts can kind of be a hint, although it's not a fact. But Stalkers, no Nexus appearance, like the third pylon wasn't put down here. It could still be a one base all-in for all MaxPax knows, I think. Yeah, you know, yeah, that's why he's getting a Void Ray. Like, the worst case scenario is an all-in. The second worst case scenario is an Oracle that kills a bunch of probes. But, you know, you had to defend the first worst case scenario. And that, it's just a... I mean, I don't know what else you would do as a Protoss player, you know? He could have maybe opened up with a Sentry, but then that has its own problems as far as the opening goes when you're only on one gateway. What if herO did a regular old proc... Like what he did versus Clem. What if he just proxied a pylon and just threw a couple of units array? That would be very difficult to hold with only a Sentry. But you would get a Scout. I mean... It's very tough. MaxPax tries to get revenge and immediately repelled. Almost loses the Oracle. Thankfully he doesn't. Now we got 2 Oracles for herO. Zipping and zapping, doing the damage. The Void Array, hardly a fast responder. MaxPax is in some trouble. Oracles will have to be recalled to be saved. Fortunately... Again, the Phoenix is not killing very fast, so that recall is totally safe.
Thank you for appeasing the overmind.
Smithling, thank you for the Prime sub. I'll take care of it. I'll cherish it. I'll put it in my collection. We just had Apollo up, but he left, so the cat cam's gone now. The cats are good. Blink is on the way for herO. The only thing that MaxPax can do with a Void Ray is try this attack. It looks a little silly, but when the stalker count is still very low and there is no shield battery, the Void Ray has a possibility. It is immediately focused and a little late to being pulled back too. It does survive, but that's the extent. Once the Void Ray is injured, you know, it is a bit of a glass cannon. So it's different if the stalkers can't get in range, if they shoot their first volley on a stalker or the zealot, for instance, and the Void Ray maybe gets 2 stalkers killed, then there's some micro that gotta go down there, but in this case, MaxPax, you know, he did what he could. There's almost nothing else this Void Ray would be doing anyway. In this case, it helped kill the Oracle, but a lot of times it won't. So not given a lot of opportunities in this game, MaxPax. Does get the Oracle, keeps his Phoenix alive, Void Ray's still alive too, now with the shield battery to help out, still, I think it's a good defensive tool if we're talking about a 2-base versus 2-base scenario. But herO going to a 3rd base, herO getting ahead on the economy, herO eventually coming at MaxPax with, let's say, 25 stalkers and 10 zealots, the Void Ray doesn't matter. MaxPax's Oracle is still alive, although cornered currently, and I don't know if he wants to use the energy to recall it. I guess he doesn't really need Chronos right now. He doesn't need... Oh, no, he does. Sorry. He doesn't need Chronos on his economy right now, to be very specific. But he does need Chronos for his army and his technology. Gonna go for a Resident Glaives composition. Thanks for the documentary videos. Oh, I'm glad you appreciate it. Yeah, people were very happy to see Fantasy interviewed. It makes me happy. Dark Templars are on the way as well. So MaxPax, maybe the idea here is that he's going to have a different type of attacking force, plus the surprise DT element that could just turn into an Archon or 2. And it sounds fairly obvious, like, yeah, that's the 2 things he's getting, ZombieGrub. Way to go. But I just mean it's more of like an all-in situation right now. He's kind of given himself 2 opportunities to win, but he knows that at least 1/2 of that opportunity is gone now. The opportunity to use the DTs as a surprise element, that's pretty much gone. Well, not exactly, but he knows there's detection. Then the other half was, again, using them into Archons. So he still has that. But it's not a game that he can macro. herO is well aware that this was the most likely result, and his stalkers scout the encroaching army, and they ring the bells. They tell everyone to get set up. And herO has already been getting set up, I think. He's a little supply blocked. Not quite the perfect timing for MaxPax, as he will be able to reinforce very quickly, very soon after that supply block. Some units were caught by a couple of force fields. Recall was almost not worth it. I mean, a lot of stalkers went down. That's a good start. Adepts will try and take out the Zealots. Lickety-split. Even the Stasis Trap hoping to help out. herO with a overall supply lead. Only even on army supply. And not that after this warp in. More Adepts are coming in. MaxPax so far finding a good start, but now we got the super slow... Oh, excuse me, Stalker versus Adept game. The 2 Immortals of MaxPax are extremely helpful against what is majority Stalkers at this point. The DT is not going to be used as an Archon. I'm going to try and do that economic damage. Immortal is going to be jumped upon. He already lost 1. He lost a second there, so down to 1 Immortal for MaxPax, and he... I mean, that's really what's doing the damage. The Adepts do not kill Stalkers very quickly at all. Nice pop in the stasis there from herO for one of them, but the other one did collect a few more units. Might not matter. herO has taken the army supply lead. Adepts did finally decide to shade, so that's their last-ditch effort in case the battle isn't winning. They will shade to kill the economy. In this case, they're shading to kill the Robo. He did not kill every single Observer, though. That would have been pretty sick if he had. But there is 1 Observer left. And MaxPax has lost his entire army, so even if he does still, let's say like 20 or 30 probes, it's still not enough. And herO will win that game off the back of the proxy Stargate. Hear Loco talk about this game in his Warcraft 3 streams. Yeah, man, he's still playing it. He didn't get his bag and run. No, not that they got that much bag. I don't want to be rude to Loco. He's a great guy. I can't help it. You know, StarCraft people didn't do that well in the tournament. Not that I would have done any better. I would have known more of the names of things. I watched Loco and Tasteless both like them practicing Warcraft. And I know I knew more than them as far as the naming of units. But I've never studied Warcraft strategy competition. I played so much Warcraft. Custom games. So now we're on Maganatha. In the bottom right, it is MaxPax. In the top left, it is herO. I mean, the Warcraft 3 invitational stuff has just been great. I mean, everything about it is pretty great, honestly. Maybe a little bit one of those, you know, nice, happy for you. You're a little envious, but it's such a good idea. It's really come together. I mean, so much of it does work because Grubby was able to build himself to be a very popular streamer. I mean, he's been averaging, I think, like 2K viewers for a while now. And if he was, you know, at like 100 or even 500, I'm not sure it'd be as successful. But, you know, he kind of got to be enough of a force as far as his Twitch and YouTube that collaborating with other people who were more popular than him was kind of worth their time, really. And then now it's just worked for everyone involved. What I mean to stop making workers, right? Yeah, people were really giving Viper a lot of chance to win because he was the best pro gamer out of all the gamers. But I've said it previously, but I never thought that. I thought the Dota guy would win. I think the Total War guy ended up winning, but I don't know about that one. But yeah, I think Warcraft... Dota players would enjoy the important aspects of Warcraft more than a StarCraft player or an Age of Empire player, which are just so drastically more macro-focused. Well, this could be the final game of the series. If it is, herO wins 2-0. He's got another proxy pylon up and he's going to use it. Then we go to another best of 3. Because he's in the loser's bracket. Once again, MaxPax with the scouts, sees 2 gateways, sees no second pylon, knows that something is up. Might not be willing to believe that it's another proxy Stargate. Who does the same thing twice in a row? Honestly. And it's not. I do believe herO changed his mind, though. I don't think he was going to go for a proxy Stargate. But even if he was, he has changed his mind. The probe stuck around for a very long time. Maybe to ensure that it didn't pass the scout of the opponent. That could be the reason, or it could be because he changed his mind. Usually if the probe is still there 10, 20 seconds after the pylon is complete, you know, or while it's building, really, it's because they're planning on actually using that probe or something. But this one stayed around, then pulled back. It did miss the scouting probe of MaxPax, so it didn't reveal the approximate location of the proxy pylon. Because as soon as MaxPax's probe sees this probe go in this direction, herO's probe, he's like, oh, it's somewhere on the left. Whereas right now, MaxPax has no idea. It could be the left, could be the right, could be up top, could be in the base somewhere he didn't scout, like over here. Who knows? And because he doesn't know what he's up against. Now he sees a Nexus, he has a better idea, he's not being all in, right? And it looks like he did maybe gamble a little bit. He did go for an Oracle first. And then maybe started a second Oracle before he got that Nexus Scout. Which if he was facing a proxy Robo, I'd be in a lot of trouble. But he's not, so the double Oracle is more of that kind of macro opener he was hoping for. The Nexus was not delayed because of any hesitation. herO's pylon play, after using it to proxy something last game, didn't really work out. It didn't instill the fear. Didn't mess up MaxPax's game plan as one would hope, I would think. The proxy pylon is always such a funny thing, because sometimes it's this game where the players are conditioned to just not even believe the proxy pylon, right? They're like, yeah, the pylon's missing, what else is new? No, you're not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. Moving on. And then there's times where the players have been conditioned to really be the most afraid of the missing second pylon. So they're like, oh my god, the second pylon's missing again. Oh my god, I don't know what's open. Oh god. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna fucking die. And then, I guess most of PvP is just 50-50 in those emotions. In this case, everything went well for MaxPax. He's got his 2 oracles, he's got Blink on the way at the same time as his opponent. The Stalker number is the difference, but that Stalker number has a chance to try and tackle this 3rd Nexus. If MaxPax, the 3rd Nexus, is healthy, if he gets the shield battery up, if he starts obviously producing his own Stalkers, the timing is very close here for herO to actually find advantage with the additional units. He does have a hallucination going across the map. Did it see the 3rd Nexus? It did not. Saw a building number of Stalkers, but that's to be expected, really. There's a chance that MaxPax doesn't go into Blink after these oracles. 2 probes went down for herO. 3 total, actually. So herO is behind by 4 workers. That plus significant delay on his Nexus. He did not realize MaxPax is already expanding. The hallucination missed it, and maybe if he had seen it, he would have gotten this Nexus faster. Or he would have tried to pressure MaxPax's Nexus. As it is, MaxPax is getting the advantage everywhere we look. Forge at the same time. +1 has not... It started for MaxPax, and now he's going to be very focused on the micro, so that could be an advantage for herO. Every second that ticks on by is definitely an advantage for herO. Where is the upgrade? There it is. Let's see, what, 15 seconds? Probably not big enough to be taken advantage of. MaxPax is not only proxying a pylon, but also a gateway. He's pretty serious about this attack. You would expect, if you guessed which player was doing this, you might guess that it was herO. But it is herO who's on the defense. Using that Oracle high ground vision to get into the main base. Only a couple of Stalkers there to deny the Oracle. Not a mass amount of Stalkers. Good use of that remaining Stalker, though, to pop the stasis trap. Also kind of saves that Stalker's life, too. And now MaxPax in a far more awkward position than he was hoping. That was straight up ugly. Oh, it got even uglier. Oh! I think... because it was a double level and the mineral patch was a lie, like that definitely looked the Stalker should have been able to escape, and it didn't. That really screwed up MaxPax's plans. That was ugly. I mean, Stalker number kills not actually that different. I still think it should have been a little bit better for MaxPax, who is now forced to flee. His proxy gateway hardly helping. Wasn't all in, though. You know, proxy gateway sounds like it's a really big deal, and it's just not. He was grabbing a 4th base behind it, which I believe he will be able to defend. herO also grabbing a 4th base. Taking a look at the map now that we're kind of deeper into it. There are gold bases around the Xel'Naga. Rocks, I'm not... I guess they just... So they're destructible, collapsible, that's what the word is. They're collapsible, and I guess they collapse across this pathway. And then this one would as well. That would kill the rocks, I guess? Well... I'm not about to do collapsible, destructible rock math on stream. But anyway, the 4th base coming in the middle for herO versus the, I would say, more typical 4th base for MaxPax is interesting. Don't know herO's thought process, but it might be something about being attacked from the right side. Finding the gateway, over there. And he tried to kill it. MaxPax wanted to save it. Maybe MaxPax shouldn't have saved it. MaxPax once again forced to flee after an awkward battle. Honestly, his mechanics, I think, are starting to take a hit. It would have been okay if he was later to +2, if he was later to charge, if he was doing as well as he believed he could on the offensive. But both of the last offenses have been pretty bad. So I think you have to break the collapsible tower to kill the Xel'Naga and then kill the rocks, and then you can take the gold. Or you build a Nexus way out here. But yeah, going back to my point, MaxPax's game plan, I think, has been... It's solid. Like, the ideas are all there, and with his typical control, I would never have predicted things to go so poorly for MaxPax. They did go fairly poorly, but not game-ending poorly, because he at least got that macro. He got that 4th base up. He's faster than the 5th. But otherwise, I think his mechanics have actually taken a hit during all of this failed blink micro attempts. Because that +2 is really late. And, you know, it might be because he was desperate to rebuild the soccer count, so he didn't have the gas. And that's fine. That's not mechanics. That's just tough decisions. But whatever it is, he's fallen behind on the upgrade. He's fallen behind on technology. But it's a little more complicated than that. Disruptors are on the way for herO. That's why he doesn't have as much, I think, of a stalker lead as maybe he could have had he just totally invested into charge stalker. But disruptors can be good. Can. Like per minute? I think so. Stalker count not favoring MaxPax, despite him not going for disruptors. MaxPax did get to a much higher worker count, which I think I like. Well, I really like with the way the game has gotten to composition-wise. Recoil is going to have to be used. We got Zealots in the 4th base, now in the natural, possibly into the main. Stalkers reinforcing there as well. This draws MaxPax back, though, and that is really the problem here. MaxPax didn't take that much damage with the Warp Prism harassment, but he had to lose all that map control. The higher probe count for the guy who is not going technology heavy makes a lot of sense, because he's got to be on the offensive. He's got to be taking subpar fights a lot of the time against disruptors, cost-inefficient fights, and then rebuilding. But it gets a lot more difficult to do that when you're no longer the one with map control, especially if you're going to be cornered in a choke. Now, MaxPax does avoid that scenario when he comes in with a bit more of a concave, two-pronged attack, but he's not the one that's controlling the map, and he could still be taking very cost-inefficient battles if the disruptors finally start hitting. Stalkers forced to blink away until a stasis trap does help against the Zealots. More army, I think, just chilling over there because it thinks it's going to be a run-by. Little focus on the harassment, too. MaxPax's Warp Prism just chilling. Just been there for like a full minute. Got some warp-ins, finally. Not enough to kill the cannon, though, so that's... They went after a pylon, now they went after Salmon X-Core. I do hope that herO remembers to rebuild that. Charge lots and disruptors kind of go against each other. So you do want to be able to rebuild the Stalkers. Okay, he is. Also, a ton more pylons as he was supply blocked. MaxPax, with literally what looked like 2 units, 3 including the Warp Prism, has made herO totally give up his position on the offensive. Now he's back in control. He also does have his own disruptors on the way, but it is 1-7. Five bases to 4. MaxPax not going to have an army lead as they both max out thanks to the worker count. Now 17 above his opponent. Damn. But he will hopefully play this like a Zerg, where he will take fights, lose it a little bit, rebuild, and eventually win. He is trying to take care of the disruptor count. It's not quite working, though. It's up to 9. Oh, my God. Warp Prism did not fully leave. It just tucked itself into a corner, and herO does not have the defenses necessary to stop the harassment. Forced to basically all in on the offensive, chasing after this army. MaxPax with a very limited amount of room to micro. As soon as he runs away, he loses the Nexus. But he does have to run away, but oh no. No! Oh my God, the DTs. Where is the observer? herO has 2 observers. They were pulled back to handle the harassment. Oh my God. This is how it ends. Oh. That is so unfortunate. herO does manage to keep most of his disruptors alive. Finally takes care of the Warp Prism. But oh my, he brought both of his observers back and then put one... I don't know what happened. Like, he put one in observer mode, and then the other one maybe wasn't hotkeyed or something. I don't know, but it... Very unfortunate. I can almost guarantee he figured he had an observer with his army. Like, that's why you get 2, right? One's at home, one's on the offense. But, that just gave MaxPax such a way back into this game. He was in a lot of trouble. He was without room to maneuver. He could not save his Nexus without that room to maneuver. The army was just approaching him before he could reinforce like he needs to. Like, there was a golden moment for herO, denied thanks to a couple of DTs, which could happen again, by the way. Unless I'm blind. Is there... Oh my god! Oh! That's it. He's done. I can't believe that happened. That was the best disruptors ever. Well, I was focusing on the lack of observer because of DTs, but it was actually still the most important point there, probably. If herO had an observer, maybe it could have seen a little farther ahead. Gotten some high ground vision and seen all those disruptors. That's it, man. herO can't recover from that. He's got +1 armor, though. He's got this. He never got to a 5th base, whereas MaxPax has been on 5 this entire time. The Nexus looked like it was going to be a goner, and it just remains totally healthy because the recall had to happen. 6th base on the way for MaxPax, too. It's an ability. So the Disruptor, you know, it has a cooldown after it shoots its Disruptor shot. But it stays alive, like you'll... So if you have like 6 disruptors and you throw 1 disruptor attack out at a time, you theoretically have non-stop disruptor attacks. Purification of those. It feels like it's been so long since I've seen disruptors. You know, in general, in any matchup. PvZs don't happen that often on these weeklies. PvPs don't get far enough to disruptors. And even if it gets like a far PvP, like a late game PvP, a lot of Protoss players don't go disruptors right now. So like, I forgot that was a possibility. And it's like the game that we finally see disruptors on disruptors, and you just get the biggest disruptor explosion possible. Alright, so we got ourselves the final, possibly, game of the day. If MaxPax wins this, he wins. If herO wins this, we get another best of 3. We're on a new map. Top right of Killer's Mile, which I know they did on purpose, so that we would accidentally say Killer Smile. It is MaxPax. And in the bottom left, it is herO. Seems like a very dreary map, doesn't it? Tons of space in the main. Decent amount of Blink and Reaper opportunity there, too. Ditto over on the right side. It's kind of scary. Natural is a bit more interesting. You do not have a fair wall off for Protoss players. How are you going to wall this off? You don't, sucker. I'm pretty sure it's worse than Abyssal Reef. Abyssal Reef, you can put pylon, gateway. Well, I mean, maybe it's kind of the same at the end of the day. But the point is, you're not going to get a wall. Not that that's incredibly important in PvP. It can be a factor of MaxPax's defense. But only if herO has been doing a lot of one base all-ins against him, which he hasn't. So I don't think the wall will be a problem here. It is still, obviously, 2 ways into your natural, which is a little less defended. And your 3rd base is very wide open. So this definitely looks like a map that's not trying to do anything really fancy, but what it is trying to do is go back to some older maps. To some of the maps where you weren't guaranteed the bases because of the map design. You know, if a map maker intentionally puts a choke on a ramp in a natural, they're telling you it's even safer to take a natural. If they give you a 3rd that's directed only one way from your natural, and one pathway, and the next one is like way far away, or just like way too much for the aggressor to get to, they're like, you get that 3rd. Congratulations. But the more that you add space, the more that you add avenues, the more you're saying you don't get these bases easy. I think it's what they're going for. MaxPax does block out herO's expansion. herO was absolutely intending to go for an expansion. He's got 1 gateway into a Stargate that is much faster than MaxPax's. MaxPax, though, you got the Nexus. So that's a pretty good trade-off. Phoenix versus Phoenix? Are you sure about that, herO? I know he got the faster Phoenix, but Defender's Advantage will compensate for this. Well, that's a maneuver. herO plays the Zerg and takes his third as his natural. And this third is already so wide open. I don't like this for herO. No, sir. He's playing Phoenix versus Phoenix against MaxPax, which already is a bad time. The Nexus delay was quite a bit, and now he's got to take a more vulnerable third base. Although, it is Phoenix versus Phoenix, so I guess it's kind of weird. It's not the same type of vulnerability. Oh, the addition of the Adepts is kind of cute here. So he didn't stop producing from his gateway. He used... I mean, basically the delay on the Nexus would have accumulated minerals and gas in his bank, right? So I guess that's what he did, and then he just kept on building Adepts before finally stopping. That doesn't mean that his Phoenix count was hit. It means that his Nexus probably timing was hit, but it was already hit because of the proxy pylon. So the idea was good. The idea was there. Coming with the Adepts and the Phoenix. The Phoenix of MaxPax have a tough decision. You know, do they lift the Adepts and save the probes, or do they worry about the air battle? And it looks like what happened was that MaxPax did lose 5 probes, but he won the air battle, and he had already gathered such a probe lead that he still is ahead by 2. You know, in summary, herO did not get what he wanted from that. He does have a faster second Stargate, though. He does have a faster second Stargate. There were probes killed. There were maybe lost mining. And the build order that can look more perfect from MaxPax, well, it was thrown off. So he does get to the later Stargate. It's still such a small difference that I'm not saying anyone is in an incredible lead. It's a good start for herO. Very good start for herO. Very, very good start for herO. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Why are his Phoenix faster? What's going on here? That is very problematic. Losing 1 right off the bat and then being able to escape is fine, I think. But losing 3? And MaxPax did not get any Phoenix in turn. He might have lost this. Probes forced to pull away from just a minor aggression. MaxPax is in so much trouble. He's now behind by 3 workers. The lost mining time really starting to accumulate. Forced to lift the Zealot, but then having to pay attention to the air battle that he is losing currently. Like, how does he make up for this? I don't know. Phoenix unit is cool. You do not use it in all matchups. I mean, you technically can. There are Phoenix compositions versus Terran, as well as versus Zerg. But it's not what you do anymore. And Phoenix versus Phoenix in PvP doesn't happen that often as well. This game has really turned around. MaxPax got that block Nexus. He won. He did very well against the initial aggression. But then just letting his army, his Phoenix army, stay on the front lines, spread out as it was, allowed herO to snipe the first one, snipe the second one, and then catch the third one before it could retreat. And losing 3 Phoenix for none is just not excusable. That's going to be it for this best of 3. herO forces the second best of 3. It's the final best of 3. Whoever wins this wins the tournament. In the top right of Torches, it is the blue Protoss MaxPax. And in the bottom right, it is the red Protoss herO. A lot of pickups happening now that EWC has been announced with StarCraft 2. We had Classic picked up by Virtus Pro. Which is always nice. And then Zound is picked up by Vitality, and herO is picked up by Twisted Minds, I think? And a couple others. Shin was picked up by someone else. Solar was picked up by Falcons. A lot of things going on. So, be much easier to remember if herO used his clan card. But yeah, I think he did join a new team for EWC. And SOS is looking for a team. He's not made much of a splash in StarCraft, well, for months at this point, if not years. His return from the military, I think, had a lot of people excited, but then it didn't really happen. Like, nothing really happened. That I can remember, anyway. And so it's always nice to see SOS, but I do wonder if he'll be able to be picked up. As obviously no one except Clem is guaranteed to EWC as of right now. We still have all the qualifiers to do, so these are just hopes. Picking up, top 16 players in StarCraft is a pretty good guess. We're pretty stable at this point as to who's top 16. And SOS, unfortunately, isn't a part of that, but he's always a good wild card to throw in. So PvP here on a new map, but one we did see a couple weeks ago, so not new. It is a map that has a natural ramp. It is a gigantic map in terms of the space around your main, to your natural, around your natural, and to the third. Like, it looks like I'm zoomed in almost. With how, like, zoomed in more. With how wide apart these bases are. But it's not. So the natural ramp is truly the natural ramp. There's no way to get in unless you mine out these minerals. So MaxPax will naturally take advantage of that. herO, not going to do the same thing, although the map calls for it more than many others, but he is still going for that gateway expand. Stargate versus Stargate, both are on the same time. Both of them delayed each other's nexuses around the same time. We do have a slight difference of Stargate positioning. I don't think it's going to matter, but it could. And Phoenix versus Phoenix. Well, each player has now won a Phoenix game. So I guess neither one would be deterred. Even though MaxPax just lost the Phoenix game, I still put my bet on him more than herO. herO was in the worst position for a bit in the last game. And his attack with the Adept Phoenix did not get him back into the game. It was the aggression of MaxPax that led to some very poor micro. He just was not prepared for the battle. herO was able to get all of his Phoenix to fire on one Phoenix of MaxPax that was kind of hanging over to the side, meaning that MaxPax didn't get the same volley in turn. And that's all it can really take. But the fact that he just continued not to get any volleys, he just continued bleeding off Phoenix, is not supposed to happen. And it probably will not happen again in that more obvious manner. But it is definitely Phoenix versus Phoenix, Stargate versus Stargate. herO didn't have his Nexus block, so he didn't feel the need to produce all those Adepts, or we're not getting that type of attack. It is just literally both of them producing probes in Phoenix and maximizing their build as much as possible. And the last time this type of game happened, it did end up going very solidly in MaxPax's way. Yeah, you're gonna think Phoenix just like always what they do in PvP. And to be fair, it does happen more often. Basically, MaxPax set the trend here, and for years people tried to kill MaxPax, who always expanded. But eventually, MaxPax just got too good defending one base attacks. So you got to play the natural expansion game too. And you don't have to go Phoenix when you 1-gate expand. It is the safest thing to do. Safest / highest reward, I suppose. But then, because you both figure the same thing, that's what you both do it, so. But it's more common. It's still not supposed to be like this common, but it's happening so much as herO recognizes he can't always trick MaxPax, and he also has to go for the same thing and then just hope the micro battle works out for him. It's all just very... It's very same. Very same. And it does kind of make me wish that there was more... I said this before the last best 3 started. It just make me wish there was more of those one-base all-ins. Like, MaxPax as the defender and someone else as the aggressor was a wonderful little dynamic for a long time. But since it seems like the tides have... Maybe the tides have turned. It's become more and more favorable to MaxPax. the more people just try and do what he does and do it better. And that, you know, maybe makes it a bit more of a stale matchup. Fleet Beacon does come down faster for MaxPax. Third Nexus around the same time. No one was successfully able to block the Nexus with the Pylon. One of the biggest weaknesses of Phoenix is that they cannot lift or kill buildings. So if you do get a Pylon block, it's so annoying. You gotta like pull probes to kill it or produce one Zealot out of this regular gateway. It's silly. That didn't happen. What does happen is that people put down scouting pylons because there's nothing you can do about it. You can produce a Zealot, which herO does, and it is a choice. But Phoenix are very mobile, and they do kill Zealots very quickly, so the Zealot might be able to kill some of the closer pylons. Like this one, maybe. But it's not going to be able to run across and, you know, run around and kill all the pylons that MaxPax could set up. MaxPax did lose the last best of 3, and he lost the Phoenix game there. But he's winning this one. And in general, MaxPax wins PvP, I would say. I mean, he definitely won this one. This was no contest. Holy shit. I don't know when MaxPax got ahead by 5 Phoenix. I assumed everything was hunky-dory, honestly. But I checked the units tab right before that went south, and somehow he had gotten ahead by 5 Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix can fight while moving. That's their special ability. And helps that snowball effect. That's a new one for me. In the top left of the grid, it is MaxPax. And on the top right, it is herO. herO now in his last life. Yes, very similar to Muta Wars, honestly, in StarCraft 2 and in StarCraft 1. Both of those, if you do go Mutas in StarCraft 2, it's very similar to StarCraft 1. Composition-wise, anyway. It's not as decisive. I watch an okay amount of Brood War. And StarCraft 2 Muta vs. Muta doesn't happen very often anyway right now. We directly nerfed Mutas, basically, in that matchup. And when it does happen, it is Mutaling. But usually they do get to 4, 5, 6 bases, where in Brood War that doesn't happen. But the same thing when it comes to the battles. When Mutas take on Mutas, if they win by 1 or 2, they win. It snowballs. It's exponential. And there's not many other units you have to suddenly change things up. Sometimes a good old Ling run by can really make or break the comeback, but yeah, the Muta War, if you're totally addicted on the Mutas, makes or break it by one battle going poorly. Same with Phoenix. Absolutely same. Except Mutas can actually shoot down, so there's... Like, that's even a little more dynamic because Mutas have the option of maybe taking on a Queen, maybe trying to kill a Spore before the Mutas show up, maybe try and kill a tech building. There's, like, a little bit more to it in Phoenix vs. Phoenix, which is just literally they cannot do anything about ground stuff. Buildings, I should say. And there's no reason to produce any ground units. So it's just all about the Phoenix War. The cat hair on the mic triggers you. I hope it does. Phoenix vs. Phoenix, the PvP meta. I don't think so. You could maybe say it's a meta versus MaxPax, but it's really only because MaxPax forces you into it. The other options outside of playing the same game of MaxPax, one gate expand into Phoenix, is to 2-gate, like herO's doing, all in on one base, which MaxPax has gotten very good at defending, or 2-gate expand, which just puts you behind in the expansion. But you could get like blink technology, for instance, and try and control the map. But you're trying to find the weakness in MaxPax's play, and he's just shored up so many of his weaknesses that it's really not there. So you play the same game as him. But you watch anyone else outside of MaxPax in PvP, and it's a lot of one base, all lanes, A lot of ground, micro. Different openings for sure. Mostly same composition like Blink versus Blink, but that is much better than Phoenix versus Phoenix. So herO went for 2 Gateway as an opener, so his Nexus is behind, but he's doing something that's actually quite surprising. He is still going for his own Phoenix versus Phoenix battle. So herO, you know, obviously he knows what his opponent's doing, because MaxPax is the same thing all the time anyway. But MaxPax doesn't actually know that his opponent has dedicated to a second Stargate this fast. So the last thing he saw was the Phoenix. He sees a Phoenix, but that could be... This herO did this before. herO built a Stargate and went a Phoenix to deflect MaxPax's, remember? But he didn't go Phoenix. This is going Phoenix. And MaxPax doesn't know that's what's happening. So he might not he might not go for his own second Stargate. He's going to go for Twilight Council thinking that's what herO's doing as well. Then he falls behind in the Phoenix count while not having any amount of ground units because he's also gone for 1 Gateway. That is the trick here. herO has to show his cards a little faster than maybe he would have liked. I'm not sure if that was the moment to reveal. Because even though MaxPax is still only sending over units on 1 Gateway, they are enough units to contribute. And oh my god, this Oracle just killed 11 probes behind it. Well, herO had to show his Phoenix, but it maybe should have just been to deny that Oracle. Well, this plan did not work. herO's lost too many probes. MaxPax almost certainly was surprised by the number of Phoenix. But then maybe this is the reason you don't go for this number of Phoenix. Complete dedication to the Phoenix when the other guy does actually add in some ground units. It sucks for a time, right? Then the Phoenix number just beats out the ground units. But to add that Oracle in while the Phoenix were distracted, that was the real pepper. That was the chili. You asked for totally non-spicy kimchi jjigae, and they were like, no problem, it'll be white. White as you are. And you're like, thanks. And then they just fucking put a jalapeno in there. And you're like, well, what the fuck? That was the Oracle. Like, why? herO does have the moment where he has the Phoenix superiority and the soccer count's not very high. He's going to try and use it to keep that soccer count low while he replenishes his probe count. But my god, that was a lot of probes that were killed. And now we got a depth pressure that's going to force the Phoenix back or cause a lot more probe damage. Yeah, herO might have forced the second best of 3, but MaxPax is not going to give him another inch. Is he? Maybe he is, actually. I don't know. They're both clobbering each other's economies. herO started off in a much worse position. Phoenix also are energy-based. They don't have an unlimited amount of lifts, graviton beams. So the stalkers eventually are going to stop wiggling in the air. Third Nexus also complete for MaxPax, allowing him to replace those probes much quicker. And herO's not tapping out because it is his last game. What an odd robo position. Yeah, GG's. GG's. Very quick final best of 3. MaxPax takes another one. He is the Monday Night Weekly guy.